for me, only from and I should say only, because of the standpoint that that there is a the way you accumulate wealth and create a plan is on purpose. It's not an accident, and you have to start with a plan. And I've seen sophisticated plans encompass 100 pages of various documents, and I've seen plans on the back of an envelope, handwritten. So, but what they have consistently is they're intentional. So, this idea, a couple of ideas that I'll put out there that would be worthwhile of taking a note to think about and to contemplate on is the idea of creating a mindset that embraces getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. And that's been a theme of mine recently because everybody wants to get comfortable, but nobody likes to be where they're at. So in order to get somewhere new, you are going to have to get uncomfortable. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. And how do you create that mindset? That's hopefully what I'm going to share with you, some ways that you can create that mindset, that it's okay. It's okay. So another concept is, this is chess we're dealing with. It's not checkers. Okay? And for those of you that play chess or understand the game of chess, you'll understand that there's some moves. There's a whole handful of moves. There are not just a king and a piece. You got more than two moves. So what I hope to help you here is, again, creating a mindset. And I enjoy working with Circle Financial and Acolo and Patricia. They're great leaders. They are moving in the direction of wealth in its many forms and many ways. And I think those of you that know them will understand that they access the financial world from many, many different doors. And I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas of what various doors look like. Are you trying to talk? And so some of the ideas, as you'll see in this slide that I'm showing, hopefully I'm sharing. Can somebody just confirm that you're seeing my screen? Our Wealth for Life principles?
Yes.
All right, very good. Black enterprise going back, 20, 30 years. We've been working along these lines to be able to help families deal with some of these key principles. And for some of you, they're going to be first time moves. They're going to be first time. I mean, you're just taking a step out, but that's okay. The point is, you have to make the moves. You have to begin those steps. What's the first step? That is, I will live within my means. That's an intentional statement. I will live within my means. If there's a question about what that means to you, I would suggest that you make an appointment with me and I'll explain it to you. But because many people don't get that idea. And what that, I will offer this. If you make $100, it doesn't mean you spend 100. There are, we've got somebody on the call here from Charleston, South Carolina. I was just down there, and there are some people from the South Carolina roots that talk about the idea is that you don't spend this year's income, you spend last year's income, because this year's income is not promised to you. That's obviously coming at it from an agricultural or a business perspective. You don't know what this year is going to bring. So how are you going to spend it? So you base your living on what you did on last year. That's one concept of I will live within my means. Second point, I will maximize my income potential through education and training. I would suggest that out of that $100 that you earn, that you have an investment line item that says, I'm going to invest in moi, in Samore, in Anacott, in Roosevelt. We're going to invest in you. You are going to invest in you. We've got a convention coming up in October. We have weekly trainings. You have technology. I bought my first computer in 1983, actually before my first child was born. The question was crib or computer? Kind of crazy. Secondhand crib won out, and the Apple II Plus won out. Because, and I've been investing in my technology ever since. Okay? Because that is your education and training. Number three, I will effectively manage my budget, credit, debt, and tax obligations. You got to be on top of that. You got to make sure that you're paying your taxes, that you're managing your debt and your credit. You got to know your credit score. You have to honor it. It's a part of your wealth plan, because you want to be able to borrow money just as easily as you can spend it, just as easily as you can invest it. Okay? Now, this commitment, then the point number 4, I will save at least 10% of my income. I don't know how hard you work. Maybe you don't work hard enough for your money, so therefore you don't want to keep any of it. But for me, 10%, I have always felt I need to keep that for me. Okay? So my mother used to say, Mark, you'll never have any money if you give it away with both hands. So I would offer that to you. Lastly, on this page, I will use home ownership as a foundation for building wealth. That's typically one of the first ways
recording in progress.
You can get into real estate. Real estate is a great way to build foundational wealth. And for many of us, many of our families, that has been a way to pass on property from one generation to the next. It's not the only way, but it's an important way. And it's favored by taxes, by the government. They want to encourage you to do that. Number 6, I will devise an investment plan for my retirement needs and my children's education. Might be children, might be grandchildren. Now, when you say I will devise an investment plan, doesn't mean that you have to fund it all, but you will have a plan, and that people can chime into that plan. Your children, if you're doing it for grandchildren, partner with them. I got $10 for every $10 you've got. Those are ways that we can encourage and plan for your retirement and children's education and your children's retirement. I will ensure that my entire family adheres to sensible money management principles. That's a part of education. And that's kind of been a theme that I've been on since the beginning of the year. When we had our kickoff, I've been talking about, you don't want to be a financial bully, but you do want to help people understand, be around money topics, and have it be something that's okay for us to talk about. In my household growing up, and those of you that have read my book, you understand this, we were always had coins around, what we thought were rare coins. And we would talk about them. And he came to know it was a way that my grandfather could help me understand that there's some money that you spend right now, but there's also money that you do not spend. That's what we're talking about, support the creation and growth. I'm sorry, point number 7, sensible money management principles. 8, I will support the creation and growth of minority-owned businesses. That's important, guys. We got to do that. For those of you that are in the GWAP community, that's a major focus there. That's one of the reasons that I'm involved in the GWAP community, because I see that. I'm constantly looking to do business with people that look like me. Number 9, I will guarantee my wealth is passed on to future generations through proper insurance and estate planning. Now, I'm going to take off the gloves here a little bit, and I'm not going to call no names, but I don't know how many people are on this call, but I know that not all of you have done proper insurance and estate planning. The fact that you're on this call, that ought to be the number one takeaway for you when you get off of this call. If you don't know what proper is for you, then shame on your business leader and shame on you. And I'm saying you need to clean up number 9 like tomorrow. That's the way that we can ensure the next generation. And it's not that hard. Is it going to cost a little money out of your budget? Absolutely. But have a will. Have an insurance policy. Make sure it's structured properly and make sure that you can afford it. That's for you. Once you start it, then you can share that. Okay? Lastly, I will strengthen my community through philanthropy. That is a part of whether it's a tithing commitment, whether it's a giving of your time to the community commitment. But those are things, I'm not here. I don't think anybody on this call is here on their own. We're all standing on somebody's shoulders. And if we want to push ourselves forward as a people, as your family, you need to be putting somebody up on your shoulders. And the way to do that is to strengthen the community through philanthropy. So those are 10 principles. I thought I would just share real quick. This is a book that I picked up probably 20 years, I don't know, it got to be 20 years ago. And the 5 lessons a millionaire taught me. And it's a quick read, but lesson 1, you got to decide to be wealthy. You got to decide that you want to have a wealth plan and not just talk about it. Okay? Again, out of that $100, if you make $100, you don't spend it all. Lesson 2, take responsibility for your money. Know how much money you have. Know where your money's coming from. Know where your money is going. And know what your money is doing. People amaze me when they say, Oh, well, I just put the money in there and then I didn't look at it for a year. I'm like, really? Makes no sense to me. Know what your money's doing. Lesson 3, keep a portion of everything you earn. The power of compound interest and starting your nest egg. You're always going to have the idea, the concept to keep a portion of everything you earn. Lesson 4. Now this one's a little involved, so we're going to take a few minutes with this. Lesson 4, win in the margins. The margins is that little area where you can say, oh, it's my birthday, I'm going to splurge. Or you can say, hey, I worked hard this week, I'm going to spend a little extra. Or you can say, you know what, maybe I'm going to get cheap right now. And I'll give you an example of what happened to me. I needed a new duffel bag to take to the gym, to my yoga studio. I went and looked at one bag that I liked, was at a nice place, it was $150. Then I went online and found one for $15. Do I have to say any more? I saved $135. Winning in the margins with extra income, with your savings. It's your birthday. I could go out and have a great time, or I could go for a walk for my birthday. Mindset 1, carefully consider each expenditure that you make. Never just take it all in, oh, well, hey, I worked hard this week, I need to do this. Second mindset, freedom and power are better than momentary pleasure. Because of some of those win in the margins, to my friend that's in Charleston, South Carolina, I don't think I planned that trip more than 2 weeks. My wife and I got an airplane ticket, got a hotel, stayed right on Calhoun and Meeting, which is right in the center of town, and we had a ball. 7 days. Didn't plan much. Why? Because I have the economic freedom to do that. Because I've won in the margins in other places. I don't do that every day. But freedom and power are better than momentary pleasure. Mindset 3, don't equate spending with happiness, because you can spend a lot of money and not be happy. And mindset number 4, you always looking to protect the nest egg. And that's why one of the reasons I got into cryptocurrencies, because what I saw, and Okolo's been very helpful in educating me around this whole space, because I've always invested primarily in dollars. Now I'm in dollars, fiat, federal dollars. I'm now moving out of that type of mindset after 42 years, because I see what's happening with the dollar. If you don't understand that, that's something you need to study. That would be a note. What did Mark mean by the dollar is losing value? Housing, the price and cost of housing is going up, they say, anywhere from 15 to 25% in the past year. Well, the price of the house didn't go up, the value of your dollar went down. And that's a mindset that you've got to get yourself wrapped around, because it's going to be more and more a part of our life. And then, of course, lesson 5, we've already talked about give back. So, Okolo, that's all I've got. I would love to answer any questions, open a dialogue around the concept. of creating a generational wealth plan.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the questions that I had for you was, there's some things that can happen later in life that can really put a big damper on both our savings and what we can pass on to the next generation. And I'm thinking of health concerns. Could you speak on that a little bit? And what are some of the potential solutions that people can consider or should consider, I say, to not have to potentially come completely out of pocket for what might be, nursing home care that could be anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a month.
Thank you for that question, Akolo, because it is, according to almost every statistic that you look at, when they look at what is the biggest cause of financial ruin and financial disaster, are medical issues, health issues. And when you think about it, it makes sense because, as they say, health is wealth. And so the idea or the concept that I will spend all of my money to stay alive, and that is certainly a concern. How do you protect yourself against that? Well, one of the ways that we do that is through what we call living benefits. We have a thing that we like to talk about as far as health benefits, right? But living benefits, let me pose it this way, is a way that what would normally be a death benefit that would go to someone else, it's a way for you to protect you. So in other words, I have accounts that I will be the beneficiary of. Now, if I don't use them, they become a death benefit for my kids, but they are my primary reason for wanting to own that kind of a protection plan is for my benefit. So I have lived, I bought a policy for my mother when she was 68 years old, because I wanted to make sure that if and when she needed care, it would not bankrupt me. Now, did it cover 100% of her needs? No. But any percentage was helpful. So long-term care, the activities of daily living, and when you, it starts out being little things, but there's certain things, sometimes for people that have a lawn, they can't cut the grass anymore. So they got to pay somebody to cut the grass. They may not be able to get out to the grocery store, so they have to get somebody to go make grocery for them. And with the way families have disseminated across this country, I literally have family in every time zone. And I don't have any of my kids don't live here near me. That, and I'm not what do I want to say? I'm not the exception to the rule. That is very much the way many families have dispersed around the country. So that's a huge potential cost, because relocation, I've worked with many, both parents and children. As somebody was aging, somebody had to move. Children would move back home to be close to their aging parents. Parents go to live with their kids because of aging. So Akolo, that's a medical, escalating medical costs, escalating long-term care costs, are probably the biggest risk to financial ruin. And those are just a couple of ways that you can, if you think about that planning, then you think, okay, how do I design my investments so that we can we can help protect some of those outlying risks that we always think is going to happen to somebody else. Okay. My father was orphaned at the age of 15, and he had 3 younger siblings. Everybody wants to think, oh, my family's that's not going to help that's not going to happen to my family, but it does. People get sick and die, and with this COVID-19, are you kidding me? If you don't have a policy and you're on this call, I'm thinking there's a disconnect, because people are dying, getting sick every single day. And the key thing is, people say, well, do I have to rush to do that? Well, no, you don't have to rush to do it. But what if tomorrow you get COVID, have a stroke? Then it's too late to help offset those costs. So I'm 64, and seems like every week I hear about somebody. And unfortunately, it's starting to look like the last couple of days, like the last week, 2 weeks, I've had people tell me 4 or 5 50-year-olds that didn't come to the breakfast table. So I'm telling you, tomorrow's not promised to any of us. So do you need to be in a hurry to do that? Do you need to be in a hurry? I'd say yes, so that you can, 1, qualify, and 2, you can be protected. So that's enough on that topic, I think, Akola.
Yes, thank you. And I don't like to hear about 50-year-olds dying. That's how old I am.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
So if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand. It can be on any of the topics that Mark has mentioned tonight, or any of the ones that have been brought up on previous calls, if there's something that you would like clarification on. And see, I think Alice was on here too, who is also another one of our mentors. Is Alice still there? I think she might have been running around.
No, I'm not going to run around during Coach Money Mark's hour, not at all, or yours either, Okolo. Too much knowledge and information being disseminated. So I'm here, sweetheart.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you for showing up. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts? So let me give a little bit of putting this into the context of what we're talking about and why we're here. As most of you know, Circle Financial is the firm that I did, and we focus on, helping people with all manner of money issues. So we deal with life insurance, we deal with retirement planning, education planning. We have partnerships so that we can do the estate planning, credit repair, accounting. We're really looking to be that solution where somebody might need as it relates to money. So that's what we do for our clients. We also are offering this opportunity to others to help us in spreading what you might say is the good news. It is an opportunity, and really what you guys to understand is we are financial educators. We aren't salespeople. We might be life insurance experts, and we might at the end of the day have a sale of life insurance, but we are not also life insurance salespeople. We are educators. We are fixers of problems. Sometimes people have problems they're not even aware they have, and we fix them. But that's really what we do here, and we have an opportunity to have you join us. And with really not, would you like to just sort of talk briefly about the income potential? If you feel comfortable sharing your own, that would be great. But is this real? Can we actually make any money here?
Oh, financial services is, I think, behind engineering. It is the number one if you look at colleges and when they look at what opportunities exist for graduating seniors. Number one is typically engineering, and number two is financial services. Medicine has lost a lot of its luster because of what's happening in the healthcare area. But you look at some of the top business schools, and their top people, the top schools, top educators, want to get into financial services. And so one of the things that Alice and I started talking about, we had a conversation this morning about what's wrong with our people? How come we can't figure that out? What's up with that? I mean, we as a people we've been working angles for 400 years in this country. Okay?
You better preach.
we made pig feet a delicacy.
And chicken fingers.
We are the most creative people, and it ain't by mistake. We are the people that survived. We are the descendants of the people that survived that passage in the hull of a ship.
You better come on, boy.
Okay, so we are the people. We are the strongest people, I say, on the planet.
On the planet. Say that.
Okay.
Come on now.
So we have been working angles.
Amen.
We make things work. We take the good, we take the bad and make it good. And there's a guy at Morgan Stanley, a brother, who just said this, not recently. He said, corporate America, y'all need to wake up and let us give you some of our black magic. Because when we show up, we make things happen. As a people, we bring the sizzle. Okay? So, having said that, Alice has got a book. If you want a free copy of it, I think I've got my copy of it right here. It's called The Secret Asset. The secret asset, okay, is insurance. How come we haven't figured out that everybody's going to die? And you have a thing called leverage with insurance. You put a little money in, you get a lot of money out. Okay, so the idea, how come we haven't figured that out? It's a part of a generational wealth plan. So what I would say to you,
the wealthy have figured it out.
Say again?
The wealthy have figured it out.
Oh yeah, the wealthy figured it out.
A long time ago. And so
Yes.
we used to have that excuse, well, nobody told me. Well, now we're telling you, and you still want to procrastinate. You'd still rather spend money on nails, weave, and lashes rather than putting your money in a wealth accumulation product for your children to be better off, or even, like you said, Okolo, to have access to living benefits, as Mark so eloquently laid out for us. Why are our priorities still jacked? When we know better, we are supposed to do better. And so now we have this power, we have this ability to empower people and change their lives with this amazing income opportunity. But why is it that everybody else gets it and we don't? And we are the ones that were oppressed and brought over against our will in ships, and the last to sit at the table. We can't answer that question. Jim Rome said, don't even ask Why? But you better get yours, because when you know better, you are held accountable and you are expected to do better. And if you don't, how are you going to explain that to your children and your children's children, good Christian people? Because number one, you know we're all born to die. Any man born of a woman is going to die, right? And the Bible says you should leave that inheritance for your children's children's children. So while you want to be so astute and do everything else according to the word of God, you need to handle up on your money. I'm just telling you, and I'm telling you like it is. Thank you very much.
When I went to a HBCU, and the first class, they didn't have investment classes in the 70s when I was in school, but they had an insurance class. And I took that insurance class, and it was the favored class in the business school because the professor ran the class so that you could understand business. It's almost like a law class. You come in and you'd have to make a case as to what you did and why you did it. It's a very free-wielding profession that way. Alice don't take on cases that I take on. Colo won't take on cases that I take, and Todd will take on other cases. And we all can work and be successful with our own mindsets and the way that we approach. That is a beautiful and freeing career to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So when I got out and I went and got into financial services, I was making $25,000 a year, 1982, 83. And they told me that in financial services, you can make 100, you can make 6 figures. I said, really? And this was somebody after church in the social hour was explaining this to me. And I said, you need to introduce me to some folks so I can figure out how to take my income up 4X. And that's what I did. There was no support. In fact, I had a good mentor who showed me what to do, but I had to drive from Milwaukee. We got a couple of friends on from Milwaukee. I had to drive from Milwaukee to Chicago to take the classes, to stay in a hotel. Now I get to do that for $39 off my computer? Really? I invested $2,000 to put myself in business. Many of you on this call maybe invest $1,000, maybe. Okay? Now, that money comes back so fast. And I've made millions of dollars in the last 40 years and helped many people. I couldn't ask for a more rewarding career than that. And as somebody would say, because where I come from, they would say, and you did it legal too.
The police ain't looking for you, man.
Yeah, police ain't looking for me.
Looking for you. And the thing is, Mark, think about it. So we got a client, guys, and they pay $100 a month, $1,200 a year. The insurance company is going to pay out up to $900, and only $100 has been received. Where else are you going to go and get 75% advance? And that's on $100. What about on 6,000, 10,000, hundreds of thousands of, that's why you got to pass a background, because they just, they're doing some phenomenal things in this industry, which we've been kept out of for so long. And now the vault is open, the door is open again. You got to get in it. You got to get in and get what's due you and your forefathers. They couldn't get it. We have an opportunity to kind of get, as Mike Deckard says, reparations now for ourselves in this $8.5 trillion industry. I didn't mean to jump in, but you touched on a subject when you talk about my people. I'm not Harriet Tubman, but I know for a fact the opportunity is the opportunity. When we can change people's lives economically, everything changes. Everything changes, guys, and it is our fiduciary responsibility to share this with as many people as we can. That's it. I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Thank you, Alice. I'm just going to share this and throw it back to Okola. This idea of firing my boss, okay? Firing my boss. I mentioned I was making $25,000 a year. I was working for a fairly large size company that I was billing. I was submitting weekly timesheets, and the company I was working for was paying or charging $200,000 for me to be there. So in the process of looking at this opportunity, I could double my income. I went in and talked to my boss, and I said, you know, I bill $200,000 a year. How come I only get 25? He said, because that's how our system is built. And I said, oh. And I said, well, am I really worth $200,000? He said, you're worth more than that. The company, if they thought that you were only worth 200, I could only charge them 150. Okay. Now I've said all that to say this. Every for somebody and you don't want to be there, they think you are the steal of the year. They're like, man, I got people come in here, work for $50,000 and they do $150,000 worth of work. Okay. Or they're in sales and they sell. I've talked to a couple of people who sell cars. How many cars you sell? Oh, we sell 15, 20 a month. I'm like, whoa, you start adding up 200 cars in a year. You put dollars on that. All of a sudden you're talking about millions of dollars. And they're getting a small percentage of it. Here's what I'm telling you is that financial services, the baby boomers are retiring. They were mostly white men. They're out of the business. The insurance industry, financial services is saying, America is browning. We need more people that look like the people on this call. Let's see how we can get them into the industry and take advantage of it. Because financial services is not I spent a whole chapter in my book talking about it. It is not a robotic solution. And let me tell you, this is one example, okay? Families used to be, you could check a box and it say if a man and a woman had children, you could almost automatically check the box and say they were married. That ain't true today. Computers don't figure that out. The interrelationships of our families. We have so many blended families, which create more opportunities for your creativity to be able to help those families deal with those issues. That is not that's not an AI. I think I'm saying that right, Akolo. That's artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. AI doesn't figure that out. That's what people do by asking questions and helping and caring about the families that you serve. So financial services, it's a huge market. It's huge upside and it's legal.
You can hold it. Hi, Alice and Mark. I'm enjoying your conversation so much, and you definitely are motivators and memory joggers at the very least. I just appreciate your conversation because being on so before I got into the industry as a rep, there were a few ways that I was already using the products that we are all here to learn about. And this is for people who are interested or wondering whether or not they can actually make money doing this. Since Okola and I are partners, I really let him do the heavy lifting. and I bring my creativity, and so we work together in that manner. But I utilize return of premium policies because when I decided to no longer work for corporate America, I realized that I would not have a pension, a 401k plan, or whatever other retirement services or products that one can get. So I looked at a return of premium as a way to create a retirement account for myself. And if I were to die, my children would have that money to do, what they need. And so that's one way. And then the other way, my children's father, at one point, he was not really very involved financially with the whole, raising up the children. But I was able to convince him to allow me to put life insurance on him, just in the event of his untimely death, and so that is a market. There are a lot of men who are not with their children, and if you were to inspire them and encourage them to do the bare minimum, like some of these fathers aren't doing anything at all. But if you were to encourage these fathers who are not participating to just do the bare minimum, come on now, like just get life insurance on yourself, so your children won't be looking. So so they'll have something to live off of. If you can't take care of them while you're alive, at least take care of them once you die. And so that's just two ways that I've been using it. And so I also have another insurance policy for myself. That's a bigger policy that, my children, they know about and they count on, and they've been asking for their money right now, And so some of my children are younger, and I had to explain to them, you cannot cash in on this because it only kicks in if I die. So I had to come up with another way to build a financial nest egg for them. And that's where WAPcoin comes in. And Okolo's been showing me, more and more about that. And so I've been using that, and they see the residual income that's coming off of that, so they can stop counting on the money that they're going to get when I die. I'm like, enjoy me while I'm here and don't look for the money, And so, Mark, I appreciate that list of all those, like the checklist that you've given us. And, just coming into this business, I like to say that, out of the 10 things that you listed, I believe I'm doing at least 7 or 8 of those. But you're showing me, how much more important it is for me to do all of them, because I want my children to have, the security that you're mentioning, and to have the complete and entire checklist checked off. It will give more of a peace of mind. And so this is just to encourage those who are thinking about doing this business and wondering. I just gave you 3 products that you can sell to your best friend or your best friend's friend, and so that's just a little bit for you all who are interested in actually offering these financial services and educating others on them.
That's an excellent point, Patricia, and I see you were strategizing, right? And that's what we do. I mean, we know people that families aren't together. We know people who are in the public every day, exposed potentially to this new virus. And what do? Do we say, something, brother? Something, sister? You probably ought to have something. We need to have a conversation because you're out there on the front line every day. I love that, Patricia, that's the angle and that's the conviction that we need to bring to people. Again, not to bully them, but to say, I care. I care about you. And I care about your family. And like you said, tomorrow ain't promised to nobody. So this whole idea of this illness and the opportunities and the way we can protect, and what you'll find the more conversations you have, you'll get this reaction like Todd Coleman and I got out of a fellow in Milwaukee. He said, I ain't never, this guy was a millionaire. He says, I ain't never heard of a policy like that. I said, that's why you're talking to Todd, right? We have unique and forward-thinking products that most people haven't heard of. They haven't heard of living benefits. How can you be the beneficiary of your own life insurance policy? So that is, I love that, Patricia. Thank you for that strategy. And that is who we are as a people. That's the creativity. And if there's somebody on the call that understood where Patricia Sunshine was coming from, take it to the next level. Start talking to attorneys that do divorces and say, hey, when you have couples come in, they get a divorce, do you offer them insurance on the breadwinner?
Right.
Do they cross insure?
Yeah.
Right?
That's
There's some attorneys that put that into the contract. All you got to do is inform the attorney that you're in that business. You'd love to work with them and support them in this effort. And that angle goes I mean, we could talk about churches. We could talk about whatever interest you have. Take what Patricia said and said, hey, there's application here. She just explained it. And if there's 34 people on this call, you could come up with 34 different strategies of where to take your business and how to serve people that need to be educated, that need a wealth building plan, and that need what they need you in their life is basically the bottom line. So Akolo, I'll just throw it back to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Mark and Alice and Patricia, for your comments. We do actually have another meeting that's going to be on a different Zoom starting right now at 8 o'clock, zoom.ocolo.org. If you haven't registered before, or you can use a previous link. If you have any questions, if you're on this call, you probably know how to get in touch with at least me, Mark, or Alice. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to us. And we do these calls every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern at zoom.circlefinancial.org. And the Guap Coin meeting is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. zoom.ocolo.org. So I thank you all, and I wish you all good night and peace.
Hey, Okolo, real
Yes.
in chat, I did post the digital version of The Secret Asset. So you can just grab the link and you'll have the entire book of purchasing it.
Oh, great. Okay. And then we should also say the subtitle of that is How to Make Millions Using Investment Grade Life Insurance.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
All
All
right,
right.
guys.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thanks
good day.
for a great
See
meeting,
you, if you're
Okolo.
going to go to the other meeting, it's zoom.ocolo.org starting right now.
All right. Take care.
Great job, Mark. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, Mark, they're asking for your checklist. I don't know if you saw that.